It is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. This is another Winter Meetings edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. All right, we woke up Tuesday morning ready to do one kind of show, and shit just exploded in the best way possible out of Orlando, Florida. So let's get right to it. The defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers have a brand new closer, and he was the best one far and away on the market. Edwin Diaz moves once again from coast to coast, leaving the New York Mets for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Will Salmon of The Athletic was the first to report. Ken Rosenthal, also of The Athletic, is reporting it's a 3-year deal. As of the taping of the show, Plouffe, we don't know the economics of it just yet. But are you shocked that the champs just piled on?
I guess I'm not shocked anymore by anything that the Dodgers do. Honestly, Diaz wasn't even in my mind because we just got the Schwarber news. Then we had a bunch of other stuff. Pete Alonso is going to be there. What's going on with Tarek Skubal? I really wanted to get into that, which I think we still are.
Yes.
It's man, I get, is it a sign of the times? I don't know what it is, but I do know that the Dodgers had one massive glaring weakness in the postseason, and it was the bullpen. Even though we thought at the beginning of last year they had too many guys for the bullpen, it didn't work out that way, and now they get arguably. I mean, he is the best reliever in the game right now. He's been extremely durable. He has, the numbers speak for themselves. He's pitched in big games. He's pitched in a big market. He's the only time he's been hurt was celebrating in the WBC. I mean, this guy's a stud, Chris. So him going to the Dodgers is, I don't know if I like it. It's a weird feeling to me right now. Like it is the rich getting richer. You and I talked about there's got to be some sort of auxiliary move to this. Because I'm assuming he opted out of 2 years. I believe it was 37.
Yeah, and hold on, Trev. According to Jeff Passan, it's 3 years, $69 million. That is 23 per year.
Okay, because he was making 18 and a half before that, which he opted out of. So he gets a bigger payday, another guaranteed year. Good for him and good for the Dodgers. And I know this shifts a lot of teams thinking. The Mets, obviously, they went out and got Devin Williams as protection against this. But I that makes their team worse, in my opinion, not having Edwin Diaz in the back end of the bullpen. But for the Dodgers, this is incredible.
Yeah, well, it's incredible because last year they gave Tanner Scott 4 years and $72 million. He was horrific during the year. He wasn't on any of their postseason rosters. He wasn't healthy, but even if he had been healthy, he probably wouldn't have been. How many teams can afford to whiff on a guy that the way they did with Tanner Scott, and then the next year go out and far and away get the best guy available? There's not a lot of teams, and I'm not sitting here, but good for the Dodgers, and good for the Dodgers that everybody wants to play for them. And they look at him and they say, geez, that looks like a whole lot of fun to go play with a bunch of guys who are going to be going to the Hall of Fame, and they bring in a bunch of dudes from Japan who are changing the face of the game. Looks good to me. I mean, they're locked and loaded, bro.
I think that's what everyone misses, with the Dodgers situation. They'll point to the amount of spending, the TV deal that they have, but I think what they're missing is the Japanese market and how much money they're making off of that, which anybody could have done. Truly, they could have. I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of different teams could have done it. The Dodgers have went and basically have a monopoly of the Japanese market right now. And that's helped them make moves like this, Chris.
Right. Well, one thing we don't know about is the deferral, and that is something that the Dodgers do better than anybody in baseball. Once again, there are no limitations on deferrals. We can have that discussion one day as to whether or not it should be, but it has allowed them to have extra cash available.
But it's been going on forever, Chris. We can't say the Dodgers have been the only team doing this. This has been going on. I mean, we talk about Bobby Bonilla Day all the time.
That's true. That's all true.
Speaking of Japan,
let's focus on what this means for the Dodgers, period. They were a favorite. I just saw some odds come out. A favorite. How much more does this help them? Because going into this year, 24 hours ago, 1 hour ago, we didn't know who was going to be the closer of this team, right? It was Roki Sasaki, a de facto closer, and they said, no, he's coming back to the rotation. So we all thought, kind of an interesting situation for him. No. That's not who he is. That's not what he wants to do. It just, because of happenstance and the postseason roster, the way it was constructed, that's the dude we're going after. Good. So they're in good shape there now. What do you think is the next move for the Dodgers?
I think they're actively trying to get out of some of Teoscar's money.
Mhm.
We've mentioned, possibly trading a starting pitcher a la Tyler Glass. Now I'm curious if they do that. But you and I were talking before the show. Everybody else on the team is kind of a guy you can't deal. The Mookies, the Freddies, the Will Smiths. I don't even think Muncie's part of the equation there. Tommy Edman, I think could fetch you something, and that's an area that maybe they entertain. Although he's so versatile, he's so good for your team. I'm thinking this way, Chris. We didn't even have Brusdar Graterol during the playoffs.
Mhm.
We didn't have Alex Vesia during the playoffs, and
Mhm.
Tanner Scott was a no-show. But you can't expect this guy just to fall off the face of the earth. Like a healthy offseason, come back. Like they're going to have some options. And Edwin Diaz now, man, Fangraphs already has him listed on the roster resource page, and that's wild to see him on the Dodgers page.
All right, so let's talk about the team he's leaving behind, the New York Mets. They did bring in Devin Williams on a 3-year deal, about 15 per year or so. And we all thought if you pair him with Edwin Diaz, it's a great move. If you got him as a preemptive strike, saying, all right, if Diaz goes, at least we've got Devin Williams. Now, how should Mets fans feel?
You don't feel great about losing Edwin Diaz. I mean, how can you? I mean, like I said, I is there someone that's a better closer than him in the game right now? I don't know.
I mean,
Guys,
Josh Hader has been remarkably consistent for the most part.
this guy's won reliever of the year in both leagues. He's got a Hoffman and a Rivera award. That's pretty
Right.
special. So yeah, I mean, you don't feel great. I'm looking at it right now, and Devin Williams, whether it was pitch tipping, whether it was pitch shape, like he got hit around quite a bit last year. There were times where he locked it in and was good, and you say, okay, that's the guy that we know and we've seen for quite some times. But other times it didn't look like that. You don't feel great right now losing Edwin Diaz. You don't.
Well, I wonder what it means for the Mets. I mean, Steve Cohen's no dummy, all right? And when he became the owner of the Mets, he said, our job is to become the Dodgers of the East Coast. Well, they have now regressed, right? They went from playing the Dodgers in the NLCS in 2024 to not even making the postseason and having a monumental collapse a year ago. Now they have traded away Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien. They have signed Devin Williams, but watched Edwin Diaz walk out the door. Do you think that Uncle Stevie is just going to be like, F it, we have got to step on the accelerator, boys. Let's go get Tarek Skubal?
He's shown us the willingness to do that pretty much at every step of the way. And, I don't know if there was a matched offer for Edwin Diaz here, and Edwin was just like, I'd rather go play in LA. Like that's certainly a possibility, but to go out and spend $800 million on Juan Soto shows you that you got the owner that's willing to do pretty much anything to be in contention. Although first year you go get that guy, was he spectacular? Yes. But you're not in the playoffs. Maybe that you start to rewire the brain a little bit if you're Steve Cohen saying, oh, maybe this isn't the way. I don't know. If I'm a Mets fan, I still have a ton of faith in Steve Cohen as my owner. And everything's pointed to, him being like, all right, F this. Let's go now.
Okay. There's one other side of this I want to discuss. The Toronto Blue Jays, the American League champs, were reportedly hot on Edwin Diaz. Remember, they signed Jeff Hoffman to the 3 for 33 last year. Pitched reasonably well until 2 outs to go in the whole season, and then it kind of blew up in his face. But that was a problem for him, not throughout October, but throughout the regular season was the long ball, and he ended up giving up the critical one to Miguel Rojas. Yay, good job by him. What do you think Toronto pivots to now?
I mean, they got a lot on their plate. So I believe this was probably third in line for them after Bo Bichette and Kyle Tucker and kind of figuring that whole saga out. So I think they still focus on that. And I'm trying to think the thing that we focus on a lot of free agents at this time, but relievers are the ones that can get traded faster than anybody in this game. So, like, there's trades that to be made. I mean, shoot, we just saw the Twins unload 7 bullpen guys last year at the deadline. Surely there's a bunch of guys available to them if they want to bolster their bullpen in the back end. But I do believe they have, bigger fish to fry with Bichette and Kyle Tucker.
You could go with a Robert Suarez, who has pitched very
Yeah.
well last couple of years in San Diego. If you want to go free agency, I think that would make a good fit. I actually had Suarez ending up in L.A., not Edwin Diaz, during our free agency draft. So that it wouldn't surprise me if Robert Suarez signs rather quickly.
Do I get no points? I had Edwin Diaz, I think, a 5-year with the Blue Jays. I get no points?
That sounds like 0 points to me.
I don't understand that draft at all. I don't.
It's not that complicated. I don't think. It's not. This isn't AP Calc we were taking. I can tell you that.
I took that for 3 days and then dropped it my senior year of high school.
Yeah, you're like, come on, man.
I was already committed. I was already in USC. You think I'm going to sit around and do that all year?
Hell no. You went back. Instead, you picked up a remedial class of long division.
I went to a sophomore class in statistics and had a great time.
Did?
Yeah.
And how much fun was that?
3 days in, and one problem took a whole sheet of paper. I said, I'm out on this.
Could you imagine the nerdy Crespi kid who wants to be an accountant, and there you are, there's big Trevor Plouffe. Oh, he's already committed to USC. He might be a first-round pick in baseball. Look, he's in our class.
Crespi wasn't like that.
Okay, whatever. Let us know. What are you thinking about with Edwin Diaz on several layers? Are you pissed at the Dodgers? Are you throwing your hands in the air? Dodger fans, how excited are you? New York Mets fans, what do you want to see next now that a guy who spent the last half dozen years with your team and anchoring that 9th inning, now where do you go as a team? How do you pivot? Blue Jay fans, I need you to speak up about all this stuff. Let's share in the comments. Once again, safe space all the time. Safe space. Well, this Diaz news trumped what is the biggest signing so far for a position player. Kyle Schwarber ain't going anywhere. Our buddy Jeff Passan from ESPN, the first to report that he is staying in Philly for the next 5 years and $150 million. Let's start with the price tag, because $150 for a guy who's 32 years old and does not bring a glove to the stadium pretty much, that's impressive. And it shows you exactly how much they thought of him, and more importantly, how much the rest of the league thought about him, because there were so many teams that were reportedly in on him.
Yeah, look, I don't want to call him a one-trick pony, because I think that does not do him justice, but he's got a great trick, and that's driving the ball out of the ballpark. You know, he gets on base as well. What's the most efficient way to score runs? Put the ball in the seats, and that's what Kyle Schwarber does. He's remarkably consistent with that. I think the other thing that he brings is a great presence. And I've mentioned a ton about this Phillies locker room and how good it is, and how, I mean, it's a bunch of dogs in there, and they didn't want to let one of those dogs out. And I think Middleton from the get-go said, we need Schwarber's back. Dombrowski said the same thing. They all are speaking the same language. So it's not a shock to me that he's back with the Phillies at all. I believe you had him going back in the trade draft. It makes perfect sense. It's a lot of money. But again, like, if you really think about it in those terms, what's the number one goal in baseball? Score more runs than the other team. I mean, this is the guy that can help you score more runs than the other team. So you got to have him back. I'm happy. He seems like a fit there. Philly fans have to be ecstatic. I'm looking right now, like, what's the most he's made in a season? It was $20 million each year in the last 3 years with Philadelphia. So now another 150 on top. Chris, this guy is going to be a $251 million player.
Good for him.
Hit homers, kids.
I also think that there is some semblance of a price tag for leadership. And it's the one thing that, we have gone metrically crazy. Some of it very, very good for the sport. Some of it annoyingly bad when it comes to evaluating players. There is a category that you really can't put a number on, and it is leadership. And what do you mean? And there were teams, whether we believed the offer by the Pirates, whether we believe that the Reds, his hometown-ish team, were truly in on him, that teams wanted more than just his 56 home runs. That's a huge part of what Kyle Schwarber is. I'm not going to make any bones about that. But there also is the side that we put this guy in a clubhouse with young players who need to learn how to win and how to believe in themselves and how to deal with the failures, and see a guy who's been to the top of the mountain and a guy who has dealt with injuries. This is a guy. And there is a category, I've never seen it listed, but there's a fictitious category that says leadership. And there won't be any bold numbers on his baseball reference page. But if so, this is one of the guys who's going to have a bold number.
Do you know who is just going to be? We're going to talk about the peacocking that's going to be happening today at the winter meetings, but now especially Pete Alonso, whose career numbers are almost identical to Kyle Schwarber's. Kyle Schwarber coming off a better year, platform year, but still no slouch. Pete had a great year too. He is. Oh my gosh, he's jumping for joy right now.
Let's talk about some other big picture stuff with Kyle Schwarber. 340 career homers. Now, he's not going to have a pace of 56 a year like he did last season, but if you look at his last 4 seasons where he has played virtually every day.
I know where you're going.
46, 47, 38, 56. He is 160 homers shy of that magical number. So that is an average of 40 per season. What do you think?
Put him in. I don't know. Like, if he gets to 500, is there anybody with a 500 non-steroid guy that's not in? I think there is one, isn't there?
Well, of guys that are eligible, no.
Okay. I mean,
no, everybody's.
We don't do DHs. You know, very rarely do DHs get in, but if you hit that 500 mark, it's kind of. That's so interesting to me. I'm such a bad person with the Hall of Fame. You know that. I'm a big Hall guy, museum, whatever. Tell the story of the game. 500 homers gets you in the Hall of Fame.
Well, he has a chance to be one of the great Phillies of all time. And it's interesting because you still think of him as a Cub right now, don't you?
I don't really know.
I don't know.
He's
either.
in that gray area, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. He's going to end up, I think, particularly if he hits a milestone and or wins a World Series. I guess that's the other side of the equation we have not talked about. That this is another team, a little bit like the Mets, that has gone backward since making the World Series in 2022, right? Too much swing and miss. They chase too much, and that's something that Schwarber's been known to do as well. What's there? This move doesn't make them better. Because
sure, he's already been there.
56 homers and finished runner-up in the MVP last year. I don't know if they can expect to get anything close to those numbers in 2026. So how do they get better?
Sign Cody Bellinger.
Well, that's a big one.
You asked me how they get better. I mean, there's guys out there that you can go get. I don't know what the spending limits are there. I mean, obviously that is a big one. For me, you can always go get bullpen help. They already said they're trading Nick Castellanos.
Right.
So, that dynamic kind of changes things. You can look about swapping Alec Boehm out, and then the money you're saving from there, do you put that into the bullpen? There's always pieces to move around. But I agree with you. And I think the Mets are in a similar position here. It's we think we got a pretty good team, but it hasn't given us what we wanted. So and Dombrowski's the guy to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Pedal down. You have to.
Right. I'll tell you who I think they should get, and it breaks my heart. I think Steven Kwan is a perfect fit for that team. I don't know if there's a match for trade with the Guardians and the Phillies, but that's the sort of guy that I would put in this lineup of boppers and have a guy that is a grinder up at the dish and works pitchers, and he does it especially well in October. Especially well. I think he struck out 5 times in his playoff life. There's guys in the Phillies lineup who've probably done that in a playoff game. So I think that that's probably the next move. But this is huge. I think this is a huge exhale for Philly fan because I think they felt like this was going to be it.
I just remembered how their season ended. Do you
I mean, I've forgotten myself.
A Ryan Kirk ring?
Oh, my God. Yeah. That was a bummer.
Oh, my God, dude.
That was a bummer. Yeah.
Woo!
Wow. All right, Philly fan, where's your head at? I don't know if this is going to make Phillies fans feel better after losing in overtime the way they did Monday night against the Chargers. But
what was up? What's up with like the powerhouse football teams right now?
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff.
Except for my Rams.
We'll see if that bunny can make the trip from the link on over to the bank. Did you see that huge bunny that the Eagles put in their locker room?
I did not see that.
They don't know who put it in.
Dude, big rabbits are scary.
Yeah, well, it's an inflatable rabbit, like to make things to make the team feel at ease and laugh and stuff. I'm going to guess that Kyle Schwarber's not bringing that into the clubhouse, but I could be wrong. We'll see. So like I said, Philly fans, let us know how you feeling about this. Obviously, you're feeling great. Like, I get that. But, I want to know all the other stuff. Hey, we don't have any ads today, do we, Dan? Got it. So we can just keep going. God, I love this. This is awesome. All right. Tuesday's going to be a big day in Orlando, not only because Edwin Diaz has a new home and because Kyle Schwarber is returning to his old home, but because they're going to have a special visitor in class down there. Pete Alonso is reportedly making the rounds, visiting with several teams, among them the Red Sox and the Orioles. But what about a little chit-chat with the only team that he's ever played with, the New York Mets? Here is David Stearns.
I did see Pete was coming. I think Pete knows us really well. I think we know Pete really well. I think he'll take the time here to perhaps meet with organizations he doesn't know quite as well, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
For those of you that are audio only, he's got the biggest shit-eating grin on his face while he's saying that. By the way, I have no problem with the Mets not meeting him. Right. Like, we know everything about one another, which is good. You either like our offer or you don't like our offer. Now, Stearns did add that Pete Alonso is still a priority for us. Do you think that's truthful?
I do think he's a priority for the Mets. I don't know if Pete feels like the Mets are a priority for him. Here's the reason I say that. There is a legacy play there where you can really cement yourself in Mets history, which he kind of like already has. But if you want to go and be a one jersey guy, like totally understand that. I respect the heck out of that. But when you give what he gave to the organization, and I'm not saying they haven't. They've paid him plenty of money, but they had a chance to sign him long term and didn't do it and made him prove it again. I think at that point you start saying, all right, well, maybe I do want to go see what other teams have. You want to feel wanted as a player. And again, I understand the dollar amount, $30 million last year. I understand that. You want to feel wanted, though. And if a team's out there saying, Pete, you are our number one priority, we're going to give you 4 years, 5 years, whatever it is. Again, we just saw Kyle Schwarber get 5 years, 150. We're going to give you that. You're our guy. It starts to creep in your mind like, hey, maybe I do want to go see what else is out there. I want to go play in a different city. I want to go have a different schedule, see all these things. The Boston Red Sox, the Baltimore Orioles. There's a lot of places that this guy fits. Are the Pirates going to offer Pete the way they did Schwarber? I don't know. But I think look, is he a priority for the Mets? Yes. Are the Mets a priority for Pete? They don't have to be anymore. And I will say this, I am not looking forward to Scotty B and his poems anymore. I hope he just keeps those.
That's coming.
Please stop. Please stop. I love you, Scotty B, so much. We got to stop with those.
That's a winter meeting staple and GM meeting staple.
Do you think the Mets are like, yeah, we have to sign Pete back?
I wonder how much the Edwin Diaz move changes their philosophy. Because right now, Mets fans are going apeshit. and they're going crazy. And to lose the greatest home run hitter in the franchise's history, a guy that is dependable, is he a great baseball player? No. Is he a really good baseball player? Yes. And you know what you can do? Pencil him in every damn day. I think he's played 162 each of the last 2 years. He does not miss time. So you know how great it is for teams, you know this better than anybody, to be able to pencil in production at a position for a full year and say we don't have to worry about this. A lot of teams go into a season and say, well, if we get this, and if that guy stays healthy, and if this kid grows up right on schedule, there is no if with Pete Alonso. You know exactly what you're getting. So whatever it is, if it's 5 for 150, if it's 5 for 125, if it's 4 for 100, you know what you're getting. And I think he will age well. He's seemingly like a decent dude. He's not going to misstep. He's handled the New York media for the most part exceptionally well. I don't think he stays. I think he's still chapped from last year's negotiations where he did not re-sign until the middle of February. The middle of February for one of the biggest free agents out there. I think he thought that was a slap in the face by the New York Mets, their final offer that he had to kind of crawl back and take. And I don't think that's going to be the case with as many teams that were in on Schwarber. I think there's going to be several, maybe not an exact overlap, but there's going to be teams that chase after him.
Yeah, and I think if you're Pete, the allure of something different is there. Also, at this point, now you say, where can I go that gives me the best chance to win? Like that is definitely in his mind because he hasn't really. I mean, they didn't have won a World Series. So like he wants to put himself in the best position. Is that the Mets? Of all the teams that are courting him, I don't know. Where do you rank the Mets and the Red Sox as far as World Series? Who's closer?
Well, I would say this, and I drafted Alonso in our free agency draft, which you still don't understand, and I had him signing with Boston because I think that allows them to make even more trades. And I think this sounds crazy. As of right now, I like Boston's prospects of reaching the World Series better than I do the New York Mets.
I also really, really like Boston. I had them in the World Series going into last year, and I feel like they're kind of a popular pick now. And I don't know. I don't know if we're right or if it's just.
Well, I think the flexibility that an Alonso signing gives them to make trades. It doesn't mean you have to go fill up your free agent bucket. You can now. There's a danger in making trades, particularly letting young guys go. And they just got rid of the password for Johan Oviedo in a 5-player swap with the Pirates. But as good a prospect as he is, and he has consistently been a top 100 as of recently, there are other bigger names that they have available, both pitching and position player. And I think Alonso being there would allow them the capabilities of pulling the trigger on a major, major trade. That's what I think happens.
So where do you think he ends up?
I think I'm still sticking with Boston. Yeah. I think he ends.
You took him in the trade draft for Boston?
Yes, I did. And I think that because Schwarber has now signed, I think this happens pretty quickly. I don't think Pete Alonso wants to go past the holidays wondering again where he's ending up.
I mean, he'd look great in a Red Sox uniform.
Totally.
Yeah.
Where do you think he ends up?
That's been in my mind quite a bit. The Dodgers? No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? The Dodgers. Where would he play?
I mean,
put him at second base.
He could be our right-handed DH, and Shohei could be our left-handed DH. You got it. While Trevor thinks about it,
the Red Sox make a ton of sense. The Mets make a ton of sense. I mean, the Blue Jays are looking for power.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I hate putting them on all the same teams, but these are the teams that are going to be the most active.
Yeah. Well, then if you said the Blue Jays, I mean, they've kind of got a first baseman already.
Yeah, maybe be DH.
Yeah, they also, I don't think you want to make George Springer a full-time outfielder.
I think you might have to do that.
Okay.
Well, I'm not saying he fits perfectly there. I'm just thinking out loud right now.
Okay. Let us know where you think he's going to end up. A lot of stuff to get to. Holy smokes, is this fun. Free agency obviously taking center stage in Orlando, but the trade market, that is going to be fascinating as well. And there is no bigger name being thrown out there than two-time Cy Young Award winner Tarek Skubal. We know he is entering his walk year. Tigers president of baseball operations, Scott Harris, was on MLB Tonight on Monday.
I don't believe in untouchable players at any level. It's not a commentary on Tarek. It's more of a blanket approach to building a winning organization. My job is to make this organization better. I got to find ways to make this organization better, which means that I need to listen to every opportunity, no matter how likely or unlikely it is to actually happen. I got to listen because we got to get better as an organization.
You were shaking your head. Why?
I hated this entire interview by Scott Harris. First of all, a lot of eyes being thrown around. When players do that, that's not a good thing. We got a lot of eyes going on there. I just don't like players being talked about like that. Like I wouldn't like it if I was a player. If I was in that organization, like nobody's untouchable. Why don't you just say, we love the players we have in our organization. We believe in our guys. We're going to go and win a World Series with these guys. If an opportunity presents itself, yeah, maybe we'll look at it, but we like what we have. Like, have your players back. You can talk behind closed doors. You're going to have those conversations anyway behind closed doors. Everyone knows that if you bring an offer to the table, you're going to look at it. But getting out there and saying, I don't believe in untouchable players, like, come on, dude. Like, I hated the entire tone of the interview. I hated what he said in the interview. Like, look, I understand it's your job to take a look at every aspect, basically every deal that comes your way. But there is a tone that you need to have when you're talking to the media, and set it for your players. Like, have their backs more than anybody can go. Like, how do you feel if you're in the organization? You don't feel secure at all. Like, that's I'm out on that, dude. It actually, like, when I listened to that, it gave me like a bad feeling.
He was honest. I mean, isn't that what we want? Don't we want people, whether it's our athletes, our executives, our managers, our owners,
first
don't
of
we
all,
want them to be honest?
I don't think he's being honest. I truly believe there are untouchable players.
So Tarek Skubal's untouchable.
I think that Tarek Skubal is going to be traded. So why does he just say that?
Obviously that doesn't make him untouchable.
I'm not saying he's untouchable. I'm saying there are people in that organization that aren't going anywhere. There are.
So you're saying there's somebody that's going to be a lifelong Detroit Tiger in that organization?
As of right now, yes.
So Riley Green might play his entire career as a Detroit Tiger.
I'm saying right now they're untouchable. I just don't like the tone. I understand the sentiment. I'm not like, listen, I have been a part of this game for a long time. I understand how front offices actually think about players. It's gross. They even go as far as to say player. They won't say
that bothers
the name. Okay, like, I just don't like it. It creeps me out, dude.
Yeah,
so
I don't like it when guys say
interview. I didn't like the tone of it at all. And if I was him, I'd say Skubal's our guy. He's coming back. We're running it back. And guess what? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
I do wonder how it sits with Tigers fans, the transparency, because I actually think that Scott Harris gave us a pretty good response. Like, it is my responsibility to try and improve us. What we didn't show you, because we can't show you the entire 6-minute interview here, but he said, we've done a really nice job as an organization, and the players have done a great job getting us to the point where we have. And so far, the farthest they've gotten with this group is Game 5 of the ALDS. That's really good. It's not good enough. And their offense stunk last year. They were good enough to beat a meager offense in Cleveland in a best-of-3 series. It went the distance. They went with Seattle all the way to Game 5. Now, some will say, well, Skubal, he's pitched 6 playoff games, and you know what the team's record is in those 6 playoff games? They're 3-3. But you know what? That sure shit ain't his fault.
No.
That dude has been absolutely insane. He's given up 1 grand slam to Lane Thomas. Other than that, he has been as filthy as anybody out there. He's gone at least 6 in all 6 of those games. He has struck out 56 batters in the playoffs in less than 40 innings pitched. You don't think that he can make a difference? I sure as hell do. So, Detroit, I am telling you this, and this is as a guy who's basically, my team is your arch rival. You do one of two things. You figure out a way to give him all the money that he wants, which ain't going to happen because Scott Boras is his agent, and you're probably not going to offer him $400 million. Or you go fill this team with as many good players as possible. I know you tried with Alex Bregman last year. That didn't work out. I don't know if that means you go get a Cody Bellinger. Well, by the way, you need another pitcher. Casey Mize is in his walk year too, so go figure that out. Stop hugging all of your prospects because you have one of the great farm systems in baseball. Get rid of some of those guys. Go help this team that made it all the way to Game 5 of the ALDS last year. Or your last option is trade him. That's it. That's it.
They're going to trade him, Chris.
I think they are going to trade him.
Yeah, and soon.
And I believe that he ends up in the team where Edwin Diaz just signed a deal with.
The Dodgers?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I almost don't want that just from social media perspective. I don't want to hear about it online.
Yeah. I think he ends up in either New York with the Mets, who Uncle Stevie might be so pissed at what's happened with Edwin Diaz and possibly what's going to happen with Pete Alonso that they go and pull the trigger on this. Well, I want to know, what is Tarek Skubal? Just give me a yes or no. Is Tarek Skubal wearing a Tigers jersey at the beginning of April 2026?
No.
I don't think so either.
I don't see any way, because I've mentioned this a bunch of times. You can't trade him during the season because they're going to be in contention, and you can't trade him during the season. So then what are you going to do? You're going to get a qualifying offer?
Could you imagine that? What'd you get for Tarek Skubal? We got the 38th pick in the draft. Awesome. Hey,
So,
could
yeah,
end up being Aaron Judge, who was picked in the 30s.
Yeah. It's not an easy situation to be in, although I guess it can be really easy if you just have. They should have went out and tried to get this guy years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But
you know when I would have extended him, and now it's easy retrospectively. Remember when he came back from his arm injury and he was filthy? I forget what year that was. Was that 23? Let me see here. He came back and he pitched in like 10 games. I'm going to look this up. So 15 games in 2023, I think, is when he came back from his injury. And he was 7-3, a 2.8 ERA through 80 innings. He struck out 102. I wonder if that was the sweet spot where you could have gotten him. That's probably, he had just suffered an injury. He was 26, young family. Maybe that's where you could have gotten him. Because the minute
I still think, Chris, if you put a legitimate offer in front of his face, when you see that type of money put in front of your face, you really got to think about it.
Well, here's the other part. We don't know where his heart is. He says all the right things about how much he loves Detroit, and I'm not saying that he's lying. He probably does love Detroit. But there might be a part of him that's curious. He's from Arizona. Who knows how much that weighs on him, wanting to train, spring training. Like he could live at his house in Arizona for an additional 6 to 8 weeks and then play on the West Coast. We don't know. Who knows but that's the beauty of being a free agent, is that you've earned the decision-making. And I would be shocked if he signed a deal before becoming a free agent next year.
Me too.
An extension,
Me too.
I would say.
Yes, I'd be very shocked.
Okay. We did have another signing. Mike Soroka has a new home again. 1 year, $7.5 million deal to help backfill the rotation for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But the bigger news out of the desert is that their all-star second baseman, Ketel Marte, has reportedly been on the trade block. Or is he? Here is GM Mike Hazen on MLB Network Radio.
I have received incoming a ton of conversations on him every single year since he's become a superstar.
Do you think that the story last year about him with his teammates impacted that people were more alert to this idea going into the winter?
Who knows? Like, it's hard for me to even understand what it is. What do I think? I think he's a superstar player. He's on a good deal relative to the industry. I think that makes him very attractive to a lot of teams that think that they can just go get this guy. And that we're in this position, we're a 500 team and we have a lot of, whatever they think we are, where we're at financially. And I think that spurs some of the calls.
He was really good during this interview.
Yes. I watched the Scott Harris interview. Then I watched this one. I'm like, wow, two crazy different styles. I'm more on Hazen's
Mike Hazen's side.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to the big question at hand. Do you think Marte stays or goes?
I think he stays. I think he's very important to that team. You mentioned they signed him to the extension. I think it's like 18, 20, like very affordable for the type of player that he is. And, if they want to be in any sort of contention, that he has to be on that team. And I think they do have a nice nucleus of players. It's unfortunate. Like the Dodgers are a very good team. But they're going to have to compete with them no matter what. And you're not going to do that without Ketel Marte. So, look, yeah, you can field the calls and there can be rumors out there all you want, but you signed him to an extension for a reason. You got a good price on this guy. I think you have to keep Ketel Marte. It truly does not make any sense for me to go trade this guy, especially
he's in his early 30s. He's got 5 more years guaranteed, $90 million-ish. Plus a player option at age 37, which I don't think is that big an option. I want to say maybe it's 11 million, something ridiculous. Last 3 years, nearly 16 WAR combined. It's pretty damn good. Now, he does miss games. The reports were last year, remember that he kind of got signals crossed and didn't want to go to the All-Star game and wanted to stay back a few extra days, and that might have rubbed some guys wrong, and you heard Hazen talk about that. I wonder if he is one of those players that is a great – and remember when Perdomo came to his defense. Remember when that happened? That's when I think Perdomo went up a few rungs on the ladder in terms of leadership and everything he means to that organization. Like he immediately becomes the face of that team when that happens. I think he does get traded because I think that he is such a good deal for teams that they would be willing to replenish Arizona's rotation on the fly here with guys that are ready right now and could help them a year or two down the line. That's the one thing with Arizona. No Corbin Burns this year. We don't know if he'll ever pitch because he can actually opt out soon, I think. Zach Gallen, he's not a Cub, right? But he is a free agent, and he is a married man. Congratulations to him. Saw that on Instagram. And Merrill Kelly, I actually think he comes back. He got traded to the Rangers last season. What is he, 38 years old? I think that he probably finishes his run out in Arizona. But they've got some innings to eat here. And they're going to need some studs, too, if they want to keep facing the Dodgers.
But, okay, yeah. I get that. They do need pitching, and they do line up extremely well. We came up with this last night, me and Jake, just on the fly. The Reds in them. Imagine Ketel Marte and Ellie De La Cruz up the middle. Right. They're shopping some pitching. But, like, okay, let's just say you get Hunter Green, Lodolo, Abbott, whoever the heck they're going to get rid of. You put them on this Diamondbacks team. That does not make you better than you are with Ketel Marte. I don't believe that at all. It's a wash probably. So what's the point of the deal at that point?
Well, the point of the deal is that if we feel like we can get somebody that can be 70% of Ketel Marte for, 1/10 of the price tag next year, but we can't find a pitcher that's as good as Hunter Green for that price tag, then we'll take that.
Now you got me looking up their freaking prospects.
I know.
I don't know prospects. I try, guys, and it's not going to happen, okay?
That part of it all.
I'm an Emmy Award winner, but not in the prospect.
Congratulations. That's so awesome. I do think Ketel Marte gets traded. I think Cincinnati's a fun fit.
It's a fun fit. Fun. By the way, we are Emmy Award winners. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I am from, back in the 90s, I think, is when I won mine.
Am I just younger?
No. You're way better off. Significantly better off. All right. Boy, this was fun. Just to recap, Edwin Diaz, 3 years, $69 million, according to Jeff Passan and Will Salmon, that he is headed from the Mets to the Dodgers. Kyle Schwarber is headed to his financial advisor's office after re-signing in Philly for $5 and $150. Pete Alonso reportedly meeting with several teams in the AL East down in Orlando at the winter meetings. Tarek Skubal is not untouchable, according to Tigers president Scott Harris. And Mike Hazen says, I have no idea where these Ketel Marte rumors are coming from, but hey, who knows? So there's a lot of stuff moving and shaking in baseball. Don't forget, Jolly and Jake are down at the winter meetings in Orlando, so they'll get reaction from all the GMs and managers and the big name players that are all involved. Maybe they're going to be on Polar Bear Watch today, right? Shouldn't they go get an exclusive interview with Pete Alonso?
Jolly's trying.
Okay, good.
I will say this. I feel like I was mean to Scott Harris, and I don't like to be mean to people. But Dan just told me, don't worry about it. So maybe I don't care.
You have an opinion, and I guarantee
I just didn't like the interview at all.
You know what he felt? Here's what it is. I think he felt defensive because it's an extremely uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, no kidding. But don't take interviews then. Hey, dude, what do you think they're going to ask you about?
I know, but who wants...
You don't have to take interviews.
No, you don't, but you do. Who wants to be known as the guy who traded a 2-time Cy Young Award winner in his prime? Not me. Not me.
I don't know, man. Just talk differently about players. I don't know.
One other Philly note, Rob Thompson, topper, extended through 2027.
A lot of coaching decisions have been coming on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some people in Philly probably don't love that, but he seems pretty well respected in that clubhouse. And
he's awesome, dude.
Okay, there you go. I imagine we'll be back on a Wednesday because God knows what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. So keep it tuned right here. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented and best friend of Scott Harris, Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Wednesday here on Baseball Today.